His tie was freaking me out.
His tie. It was. Yeah, you're right.
It was like,
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think
Nancy
about?
Pelosi. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Johnny. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Nancy Pelosi announced that they were still going to do. It says, oh yeah, tonight they were gonna still do the certification of President-elect Joe Biden. I was gonna ask you guys, do you think it is too soon, or do you think go ahead, like get it done tonight, like do it?
They got to make a statement.
I mean, by law, technically they have to do it on January 6th. I mean, that's what the Constitution states. So, and they weren't hurt. They were swift away into safe chambers. So yes, come back
nobody was injured.
And do your job. Do your job. Hopefully, again, the objectors have come to their senses and they will stand down, because if they don't, then that means this is going to go well past midnight. Because we know it was going to be an objection they already objected to Arizona, but there were going to be at least 2 other objections for Georgia and Pennsylvania, possibly 6 total. They have a total of 2 hours in which they can object. Ain't nobody got time for all that.
Yeah.
And just from behind the scenes, I was just informed that Kelly Loeffler has rescinded her objections.
Good.
Smartly.
So moving in the right direction.
Out.
Smartly.
Get out.
I mean, about time they started being intelligent. By the way, this image is from, we were talking about Nancy Pelosi. This image was taken from Nancy Pelosi's office. I mean, how many of these people are actually going to get arrested for their actions? I mean, this is horrible.
Listen, let me tell you, pre-pandemic, when I still worked at Sports Illustrated and I still had my very own office, I would have beat somebody down for coming into my office, sitting at my desk, putting their feet on the table like that. That is shameful. That is disrespectful. You do not get to do that. Do not violate my space. And so the fact that he's doing this in the U.S. Capitol, are you kidding me? And quite honestly, again, and I know this may sound harsh, and I know this may ruffle some feathers, what have you, as soon as they once they got past the steps, and as soon as they breached the doors and illegally entered the Capitol.
Every right to shoot.
Guns should have been drawn right there, because you were posing a threat. It should have ended right there.
Again, if it were a terrorist, an international terrorist attack,
right?
Oh my goodness! It would have been.
Imagine if those had been Saudi Arabians or Iraqis or someone from the Middle East of brown skin who had done the same thing? They would have been
lives. Yep.
On scene.
Yeah, or Black lives.
And that's the difference, and that is the whole. That's the whole thought. The whole concept behind Black Lives Matter is the difference in Black lives and how the people of color and how they're treated. I mean, if it were any person, if it were a group of people of color, there's no question, and there's no question in my mind that the guns would have been fired off. No question in my mind. Matter of fact, again, we had people enter the Capitol illegally and guns were fired off in recent years, and they were shot. But it was 1 or 2 people. I mean, we're talking a mob of people. I mean, again, you don't want to just shoot Americans all willy-nilly, and I get that. So, you don't want to find yourself in a Tiananmen Square type situation. But at the same time, you still have to protect. These people are entering illegally. I mean, and you're not just protecting the building; you're protecting the people in the building.
No, I wish the mofo would come, via. So Mike Wolf just laughed. So Mike Wolf and I worked together at Sports Illustrated for several years. He worked in the IT department, so I often called him whining, begging for things, fixing my computer, giving me a new computer, giving me a new laptop, whatever. And so he just posted when I talked about, people coming and sitting at my desk, he posted he used to sit at my desk all the time. Without my permission.
I hope he didn't put his feet up.
So would not advocate for shooting Mike Wolf. I would not advocate for that.
Let's get to some of these comments online. It's a lot of comments, and I kind of got away from it. So Mike Wolf says, yeah, when she was fixing your computer. And then Latoya says, oh no, Lysander, only bodies of color are a threat. Insert side eye. Senator Sass says, this is from Mike Winter. Senator Sass, what I truly believe the lessons of American civics can be instructive if we could educate people that will unite people. These insurrectionists just are ignorant about history and civics. Good thought.
Ernest Cooper had a comment. He said, imagine having an opportunity stolen from you, and rather than get angry and quit, you put energy into making sure it doesn't happen to the person behind you. That's what Stacey Abrams did. She not only opened the door, she held it.
Yep.
So, like Lizzie mentioned. Yeah.
So Patrick, I have a tough question for you. So if your city state house or the city building was being attacked by some mob, would you authorize protecting it by force?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I would say we need to do whatever we can to protect it. I mean, you start with attempts to address the situation peacefully.
Sure.
But if you need to, if people's lives are at risk, which they were in this case, then you need to be willing to use lethal force to protect it and to protect the institutions, to protect the way that they run. And one thing that struck me today is I know that there was a clip of those those boxes, those wooden boxes that they put all the electoral votes in.
Oh yes.
And I think it was Senator Murphy from Oregon who said that his staff grabbed those boxes and ran away with them. If they hadn't done that, then the people who stormed the chambers could have gotten access to those and destroyed them, right? And that,
if they had destroyed them, what would that have meant? You know?
Right. I don't know. I mean, you have to do. I guess you'd have to do it over again, right? I mean, or do the electoral voting process.
Yeah, there would have been no immediate proof of the actual oral votes, so it would have hindered the process.
Wow, that's crazy. So Latoya Blakely says getting it done tonight would be a testament to the resiliency of American democracy. They have to do it tonight. Yeah.
And I think that they will. I think that they're going to try their hardest to make it happen tonight as a response to show the resiliency of the U.S. government in response to these actions today.
Right. C-SPAN says that they're starting at 9:00 again. So
awesome.
So 9:00. So in 5 minutes.
After we're done.
5 minutes.
Yep. After we're done with the show, we can turn it on and watch it unfold.
With that being said, it is time to kind of start winding down since it is time to close the show out. So what I want to do is kind of go around real quick and get your final thoughts. And I'm going to go counterclockwise. So I'm going to start with Gianni Storm. So Gianni, what are your final thoughts for tonight and what's been happening today?
My final thoughts are, it took me this long, but I realized Trumpism is a real thing. And I'm not getting used to the surprises still, surprisingly. Like, even though we've been through a lot in the past few years, it's still kind of shocking. But my emotions have subsided. My mind's just racing. So there's a lot going on. So, yeah.
Robbie Rock, final thought?
Today was an attack on the U.S. government, on the U.S. people, on your democratic process. And these people who halted the electoral process, I have 3 words. You're fascists, you're terrorists, you're un-American. What happened today was absolutely disgusting because, like I kept saying, America's been a beacon of democracy for decades, a model of democracy, and that's been corrupted into a laughing stock today. And I hope that they can get it done tonight and try to correct this. Fascists and racists have been allowed, and they've been bolstered by Trump's rhetoric over the last 4 years, and now they feel free to do whatever they please. Your opponents, North Korea, Iran, Russia, can't be happier with this turn of events. A segment of American people is in the process of creating their anti-America propaganda for them. So your allies weep for you. Honestly, this man will go down as the worst president in American history.
No
My
question.
heartfelt sympathy to my American neighbors. At this point, the Republican Party needs to cut him loose, turn him to the wolves, and apologize to the American people for this travesty. And I have one question for all of you. How are you going to sleep tonight?
Oh, Rob.
Just to answer real quick, I mean, you know, it's funny. My wife was like, you know, we need to go gas up the cars, and I'm like, yeah, honestly, if you think about it, we've had this conversation before about what could happen if Trump lost, or what could happen if Biden lost, and I kept saying if Biden lost, you know, there would be widespread protests, but if Trump lost, it would be kind of just those few Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and all those guys would just do something, and it would be centralized to Washington, D.C. So honestly, I'm going to sleep pretty decently because I'm pretty confident that we can get this under control. And fortunately, the Electoral College votes are still there. They're going to finish it off. And I think the majority of Americans are, even Trump supporters, are still going to continue to move forward with the process and, you know, work to get rid of this guy. And I agree with you 100%. There's no question after this, the absolute worst president in history. There have been bad presidents. This is the absolute worst by far. Lizzie Anders? Or did anyone else have a comment to want to respond to Robbie? Okay.
Well, I'll respond to Robbie in my parting shots, if you will. One, I don't really sleep a lot, Robbie. I usually average between 3.5, 4 hours sleep per night, hours of sleep per night. And so I think tonight it might be even a little less than that because I am on fire, if you will.
Yeah.
And even if I turn all of this off, I need to engage in something to take my mind off of it. So it'll be another night of Discovery ID, investigative discovery, killer shows. So if I'm not, watching, what happened today in our nation's capital, I'm going to be watching murder shows all night. So I would imagine I'm not going to really sleep that well tonight. But as it relates to, my final words for what happened today, I just want us to be, I challenge everyone to be better Americans. Better Americans. And this goes to both Democrats and Republicans. This goes to me. I think we all need to take a look in the mirror and realize or ask ourselves, what is it that we're fighting for? Are we fighting to be right for our party, or are we fighting for the betterment of the American people? And I think that's how we got here. All of those Republicans who were dissenting today or who were objecting today, that was based on party affiliation. That was not based on the best interest of the American people. So again, I challenge us. I may not like 4 years from now. I didn't like it 4 years ago. Who was elected as president. Mm-hmm. I may not like it 4 years from now, but I am not going to go to these extremes where I potentially disintegrate our government and our democracy based on my feelings. We have to do what's best for our people. So I challenge everyone to do that. Put aside all of your party affiliations and all of that nonsense and look at your neighbor, whether they be black, white, blue, or purple, whether they be Republican, Democrat, or independent, and think about what's best for all of us in this situation. Yeah. And what happened today was best for no one.
No one. So let me ask you, in putting aside my grievances, can I still hope that Trump, dies in prison?
An Al Capone kind of death?
I think they should lock him away, throw the key away, and just, let him just go.
I never challenged that.
No, I'm just saying, because we should. You say put aside all, No, I'm like, no, lock this dude away, get rid of him because.
Listen, in a perfect world, I believe in the death penalty. So you preach it to the choir.
Yeah, you do. I'm still iffy on the death penalty. I wouldn't
be opposed to that. But I mean, as we move forward and how we relate to one another, like we have to do better than this.
Yeah.
We have to do better than this.
All right, I'm going to leave Patrick for the last comments, but I'm agreeing with you guys as far as we've just got to do better. I mean, we've got to get past this moment in time, and this is just a moment in time. It's a blip. Trump was he was just a blip in time. I mean, he was a mistake that this country made, and fortunately, he's supposed to be gone. We have to deal with him for 14 more days, and try to figure out how to minimize the damage that he continues to cause. But hopefully we can all come together once this is all said and done. You know, maybe hopefully all the racists and all the fascists can go back into the shadows where they came out of because of Trump, and we can get back to being a great country, the great country we were heading towards. You know, they keep talking about make America great again. America has had a very dark history. So we were heading towards a great country, and we went backwards. You know, we went backwards, and you see where that took us. This took us to things like today. And so I want us to go forward. I want us to go forward from here, start with the Biden administration, the new Congress, the new Senate, get some things done, get on track. You know, I am not anti-Republican, will never be anti-Republican. I am anti-Trump supporter Republicans, 100%. Anyone who supported that ridiculousness needs to go away. Those are my final thoughts. I'm going to turn things over to Mayor Patrick Wojahn, close us out.
Thanks. Yeah, so
he's the mayor.
So today I was messaging when all this was going down. I was messaging with a couple of friends of mine who live in Germany, and they were commenting like, "What the heck is going on there?" And it was a reminder to me that really when things like this happen in our country, all eyes are on us, and it's kind of a test of what. There was an op-ed that I read a couple weeks ago, and I wish I could remember where I saw it, but it was about this notion of American exceptionalism and whether there's something special and unique about the United States. And I think, and it was in the context of looking back at 2020 and everything that happened with killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and the Black Lives Matter movement, and kind of a reminder of how we have this idea, this American idea, this kernel of a notion that all people, it was written by slave owners, but this notion that all people are supposed to be created equal, that we are a country that is governed by the people, for the people.
Yeah.
And we so often fail. We so often fall short of that. Our history is full of just consistently falling short of that in so many different ways. But it's still an ideal that we need to hold on to, and we are struggling right now with this person who is trying to consolidate power and hold on to power for himself and really take that away. But I think keeping that ideal in mind is something that we need to continue to fight for. And the fact that just in the last day we had, now the second ever African American senator from the South since Reconstruction to be elected.
That's
shows
crazy, by the way. This is 2020.
Listen, it's 2020, 20 years, and we just getting the first Black Bachelor, so we still have a long.
That was one of the topics we were supposed to cover. I'm sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
But it shows that we make progress. It's a stilted progress. Sometimes we fall glaringly short still, but I think we can still make progress towards that ideal.
Yeah.
All right. Agreed. All right, well, thank you, Mayor Patrick, but that is all the time we have for today. I thank you all for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something, gained a new perspective, or even got some things off your chest. Don't forget, we need your support. Keep this thing going. Like, follow, subscribe at TLS Live Show. And if you missed any of today's episode, please do check out the podcast. Listen to the podcast or go on YouTube and Facebook for the clips. So, again, we hope you maybe got some things off your chest. We hope that, you know, things get better. Things get better. So, yeah.
Be safe. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay home, stay safe.
All right. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to check us out on Sunday. All right? Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you.
Okay.